Way back when Pathologic 2 was being kickstarted, if you were to pledge either 20, 25, or $40, you were promised a reward of an exclusive in-game item. And if you were to pledge to any of the higher tiers, Icepick Lodge threw in an exclusive in-game event. Upon the release of the game, backers were given two codes which could be entered in the designated tab in the settings. Well, lucky for us, Icepick Lodge decided to not make these codes unique for each backer. So once one person was given their codes, everyone could access this meant-to-be exclusive backer content. I've been playing Pathologic for way too long, and even though I knew of this backer reward tab in the settings, for whatever reason, looking into it never crossed my mind until recently. And man, do I regret not doing this sooner. The two backer codes are only helpful, and you should make sure you always have them active if you're starting a new playthrough, especially if you don't want to miss out on these two mostly free but still unique items. Let's start by activating these codes. In the settings towards the bottom, you'll find the Backer Rewards tab. Here is where we can enable the in-game item and event. For the item, you'll want to type in something old, and for the event, the code is Here Kitty Kitty. From here on, in every new game you play, you'll be able to get the Dragonfly Eye item and you can experience the Hunt event. Inputting either of these codes and loading into an existing playthrough will not add anything. You will have to make a new game. Next, let's find these items in-game. For this, we'll need to fast forward to day 2 after you've gained access to the layer. Here in the cabinet, you'll find the free item and a note to trigger the event. First, let's cover the item. The Dragonfly Eye is a consumable item with effects similar to Twyrene. The hover quote reads as, "An incredibly rare concoction made of twire berries. When consumed, it reveals several points of interest in the town." When touching the item, you can read, "Twire berries are rarely picked. Few people ever see this potion. Perhaps fate is thanking me for lending someone assistance in the past." This someone is most definitely Icepick Lodge, and this assistance is alluding to supporting the Kickstarter. Which is quite ironic now, seeing as I'm sure most of us never got the chance to donate to Icepick Lodge. Anyway, the Dragonfly Eye is a more powerful version of Twyrene. Twyrene normally will mark the location of a missable conversation or event, or more commonly, it will point you to an item cache. While consuming Dragonfly Eye will triple this effect and will mark 3 of these locations on your map. If you've played through the game a few times already or know the locations of each item cache, the Dragonfly Eye may not be as useful to you, but it's still a cool item nonetheless. Also, in case you were curious about this item cannot be sold or traded. Next, let's move on to the event and the other way more useful item you can get. The note in the Layers cabinet is titled Note to Old Man. When touching it, you can read, "The invisible cat was seen in the warehouses. It can be caught during the day on good days. Uncle Old Man, do you know if it can be someone's half? If so, we can't touch it." Unlike most objectives, this will not be marked on your map. Instead, you'll have to visit this area by Notkin's warehouse on your own accord. Here, you'll find 3 kids hanging around an empty cage and bowl. Speaking with any of them will all trigger the same conversation. They'll tell you that they're trying to catch an invisible cat, and Artemy can suggest feeding it so that they can see the food inside of it. The kids go along with the idea and agree to give something rare in exchange for filling the empty bowl with a bottle of milk. You can get this milk from any food store, but if you want to save some money, you can save the bottle of milk you were given by this girl when you visit Notkin's warehouse on the first day. Either way, once you have the milk, you can fill the bowl and talk with the kids again. They'll thank you for helping, and you're rewarded with an old Schmouter. The appearance of this Schmouter heavily resembles the Schmouter from the original Pathologic, hence the name. The descriptions also reflect this. This item actually has 4 quotes we can read instead of the usual 2. This is because the item description and touch quotes are changed after the plague arrives. I'll go over the pre-Sandpest quotes first. Before the plague, the description will say, "I suspect I know what it does. Better keep it in case times get tough." When touching the item, you can read, "This Schmouder is very old, made 10 years ago or even more. It's imbued with warm gratitude." After the plague arrives, the description will display, "Cures a sandpest, reminds me of older days." When touching the item, you can read, "This Schmouder is very old, made 10 years ago or even more," which is impossible, since the first outbreak only happened 5 years ago. Again, this is referencing the original Pathologic, with this Schmouder being made during that game's outbreak back in 2005 when Pathologic was released. The old Schmouder functions identically to any other Schmouder, the only difference being the way it looks. So here we get one extra cure for the price of almost nothing. Man, do I wish I knew about this years ago. These backer codes are definitely worth enabling if you haven't done so already, especially for that Schmouter. Well, this wraps up Pathologic 2's backer codes, but the in-game backer reward story isn't over just yet. Let's go back to Pathologic's Kickstarter page, where if you were to pledge $100 or more, you were promised access to the Polyhedral Room, which was described as an unseen place available only to those clever enough, or perhaps honest enough, will open itself up to you. You'll have to open yourself up to it, though. Sadly, this isn't accessible in Pathologic 2, since as stated in a news post on Icepick Lodge's website back in May of 2019, the Polyhedral Room reward will only be released together with the Bachelor's storyline. The Polyhedron is his thing. It didn't feel fitting to shoehorn this reward into the Haruspex's story. Thank you for your patience. Seeing as Icepick Lodge cared enough about this event to delay it until the release of the Bachelor route, I'm hoping this is less of a cute encounter or an interesting item and is actually something bigger than just that. But until the game comes out, this is just another part of the Bachelor route we have to look forward to. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.